Unbelievable! In an unexpected turn of events, Nicolás Maduro, the leader who has held Venezuela in his iron fist, has staged a live televised meltdown that has exposed the rot at the core of power. In a broadcast that was intended to be a simple address, Maduro broke down in front of millions of viewers, revealing the deep and dangerous cracks that threaten to collapse his regime. This is no simple slip. It is a desperate cry that exposes the corruption and chaos that have gripped the country. The scene was shocking. Maduro, visibly upset, lost control in a fit of rage that left everyone speechless. His words, charged with rage and desperation, echoed the frustration felt by millions of Venezuelans. This is not the strong leader he pretended to be. He is a man on the brink of the abyss, dragged down by the currents of betrayal and disloyalty that surround him. The broadcast, which quickly went viral, has ignited a spark of hope in a people tired of oppression. Venezuelans, who have endured years of hardship under his rule, now see an opportunity for change. Maduro's downfall is no longer a distant dream. It is a tangible possibility that is in the air. The entire world is watching, and the pressure on the regime has never been so intense. This collapse is not just a media spectacle. It is a call to action for all those who wish to see the end of the dictatorship. The truth has come out, and there is no turning back. The question now is, what is next for Venezuela? Will this be the beginning of the end for Maduro, or will he find a way to cling to power? The answer lies in the hands of the people, who are crying out for justice and freedom. The dictatorship's time is numbered, and the world is eagerly awaiting the outcome of this explosive story. Behind the closed doors of the presidential palace, a plot so dark it would make any nation tremble was brewing. The tension could be cut with a knife as the shadows of betrayal loomed over the Maduro regime. In an unexpected twist, the threads of power began to unravel, revealing a sinister plan that pushed the Venezuelan leader to the brink of the abyss. The atmosphere was charged with suspicion and mistrust, and whispers of conspiracy resonated in every corner of power. Maduro, known for his iron grip and iron fist, now found himself in a vulnerable position, surrounded by enemies he once considered allies. The betrayal came not from outside, but from within, from those who shared his table and his secrets. Paranoia took hold, and rightly so, as the signs of an imminent coup were becoming increasingly evident. Clandestine meetings and backroom deals multiplied, and the Venezuelan leader began to lose control of his own destiny. The plot was not the work of one man, but of a network of interests seeking to destabilize the regime from its foundations. Loyalties were fading like smoke, and promises of eternal power were turning to ashes. Amidst this chaos, Maduro was confronted with the stark reality that his reign was in jeopardy, and that those he trusted most were the very ones plotting his downfall. The situation was explosive, and time was running out. Every wrong move could be his last, and every word spoken in confidence could be used against him. The pressure was unbearable, and the Venezuelan leader knew he had to act quickly to dismantle the plot before it was too late. However, the question that tormented him was whether there was still anyone he could trust, or whether he was doomed to face his fate alone, in a world where loyalty had become a rare commodity. Scandal breaks out in Venezuela. In an unexpected and explosive turn, Diosdado Cabello has been publicly branded a greedy traitor. The accusation, launched in an outburst that left everyone speechless, has shaken the foundations of the Maduro regime. In a country where loyalties are bought and sold like cheap merchandise, this frontal attack reveals the deep cracks that threaten to crumble the already shaky government. Maduro's fury, unleashed in a moment of desperation, has put Cabello, a man who until now had been seen as a pillar of power, at the center of the storm. But what led to this explosion of accusations? Maduro's words were not just a venting of anger. They were a rallying cry against those who, from the shadows, have been undermining his authority. The betrayal, a poison that runs through the veins of the regime, has come to light in the most public and humiliating way possible. Cabello, who has always played his cards close to his chest, now finds himself in the eye of the storm, with his reputation in tatters and his loyalty called into question. The question on everyone's mind is, how deep does this betrayal go? How many others are involved in this plot that threatens to topple Maduro? Venezuela's already volatile political scene has become a minefield where every misstep can trigger an explosion. The accusation of treason is not just a blow to Cabello, it is a direct challenge to all those who have been playing a double game. In a regime where trust is a luxury few can afford, this revelation has left everyone wondering who will be next to fall. The tension is palpable, and the entire country watches with a mix of horror and fascination as this political drama unfolds. Maduro's words have lit a fuse that threatens to consume everything in its path, and as the world watches, the question on everyone's minds is, who will be next to be unmasked in this deadly power game? Deep within the dark web of Venezuelan power, a betrayal is unveiled that shakes the foundations of the Maduro regime. Diosdado Cabello, the man who for years presented himself as a loyal squire, has been weaving a web of secret deals that threaten to crumble the already shaky structure of government. In an unexpected twist, Cabello's hidden maneuvers come to light, revealing a power play that no one saw coming. As Maduro faces an internal storm, Cabello's actions are revealed as a masterstroke of betrayal. Cunningly and unscrupulously, he has been negotiating in the shadows, securing his position while undermining Maduro's authority. These clandestine deals have not only weakened the regime, but have exposed the fragility of an alliance that was thought to be unbreakable. The magnitude of this betrayal is such that it has left Maduro's supporters in a state of shock. Trust has been shattered, and the specter of disloyalty looms over the presidential palace. Cabello, with his unbridled ambition, has played his cards with a calculating coldness, leaving Maduro in a vulnerable and isolated position. This scandal not only threatens to destabilize the regime from within, but has also set off alarm bells internationally. The global community watches in amazement as Venezuela's palace intrigues unfold against a backdrop of chaos and mistrust. Cabello's betrayal is a brutal reminder that in the game of power, there are no friends, only interests. The revelation of these secret agreements is a devastating blow to Maduro, who must now face not only the wrath of his people, but also the internal threat from those he once considered allies. Cabello's betrayal is a testament to the corruption and lust for power that corrodes the heart of the regime, leaving Venezuela on the brink of an unprecedented political abyss. The leaks have shaken the foundations of power in Venezuela, revealing documents that Diosdado Cabello would have preferred to keep buried forever. These papers, which have come to light unexpectedly, expose a web of corruption and betrayal that threatens to crumble Maduro's already shaky regime. The evidence is overwhelming. Secret contracts, money transfers to tax havens, and clandestine agreements that paint Cabello as a master of manipulation and deception. The leaked documents not only show Cabello's unbridled greed, but also reveal how his actions have systematically undermined Maduro's authority. Each page is a direct blow to the heart of the regime, a reminder that absolute power is nothing more than a fragile illusion. The evidence is so devastating that even the most loyal to the regime is beginning to question their loyalty. The magnitude of these revelations is such that they cannot be ignored. The population, already tired of oppression and misery, sees in these documents a confirmation of what many suspected, that the real enemy is not only outside, but also within their own ranks. Anger and frustration are growing, fueled by the sense of betrayal and the desire for justice. Meanwhile, the regime is desperately trying to control the damage, but the leaks are like a flooded river that threatens to sweep away everything in its path. The truth, once released, cannot be contained, and the Venezuelan people are demanding answers. The pressure is mounting, and time is quickly running out for Cabello and Maduro. The question now is, who will pay the price for this monumental betrayal? In an unexpected and devastating twist, the figure of Diosdado Cabello emerges as the hidden puppeteer, the real power behind Nicolás Maduro's throne. As the country teeters on the edge of the abyss, the revelations about Cabello shake the foundations of the regime. For years, he has woven a web of influence and manipulation that has kept Maduro a mere puppet, a front leader in a shadow theater. The suspicions are confirmed. Cabello, with his cunning and boundless ambition, has been pulling the strings from the shadows, orchestrating every move, every crucial decision that has led Venezuela to its current state of chaos and despair. His ability to manipulate at will, to play with loyalties and betrayals, positions him as the true architect of the Venezuelan tragedy. As Maduro publicly crumbles, unable to control the narrative that is slipping through his fingers, Cabello remains in the shadows, calculating and cold, watching his master plan unfold. The question that resonates in every corner of the country is unavoidable. How far does Cabello's power reach? Is he the one who has really been dictating the fate of Venezuela, while Maduro becomes the scapegoat for a decaying regime? The revelation of Cabello as the puppet master not only exposes the fragility of Maduro's leadership, but also ignites a spark of fury and despair among Venezuelans, who are now faced with the stark reality that their struggle has been manipulated from the very beginning. The truth, so raw and devastating, threatens to unleash a storm of unimaginable proportions, as the people demand answers and justice amidst a political landscape that is crumbling by leaps and bounds. The international community is on fire, and with good reason. The power struggle in Venezuela has reached a level that no one could have foreseen, and world leaders have not remained silent. From the most influential capitals to the most remote corners of the planet, voices of condemnation resonate loudly. It is a scandal of epic proportions. The brutal exposure of corruption and chaos in the Maduro regime has left everyone speechless. Governments around the world are raising their voices, demanding immediate answers and action. The pressure is unbearable, and the Maduro regime is reeling under the weight of global disapproval. International leaders are not only condemning the situation, they are taking action. Sanctions, joint statements and emergency meetings are coming at a frenetic pace. The international community is united in its condemnation, and the message is clear: enough is enough. Patience has run out, and tolerance for the Maduro regime has come to an end. The outrage is palpable, and the world is watching closely every move, every statement, every misstep. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, the tension is palpable. People on the streets feel the echo of international condemnation, and hope for real change is beginning to take shape. External pressure is compounded by internal pressure, and the regime finds itself at an unprecedented crossroads. The international community has made it clear that there will be no room for impunity, and the time for excuses is over. The situation is critical, and the outcome is uncertain. Will the regime be able to withstand the storm of global condemnation, or will this be the beginning of the end? Maduro's outburst on live television not only laid bare his desperation, but also shattered the facade of unity that the regime had so painstakingly maintained. The image of a solid, cohesive government crumbled in a matter of minutes, revealing the deep cracks and internal tensions that had been simmering beneath the surface. Maduro's fury, unleashed without control, was a direct blow to the heart of his own administration, exposing the power struggles and betrayals brewing in the shadows. Stunned spectators watched as the Venezuelan leader, in a fit of rage, lashed out at his own allies, making it clear that trust had evaporated. Maduro's words resonated like a deafening echo, exposing the fragility of a regime teetering on the brink of collapse. The illusion of a united front vanished, and with it, the hope for stability in a country already plunged into chaos. This episode not only shook the foundations of power in Venezuela, but also ignited a spark of uncertainty among his most loyal followers. The question on everyone's mind was inevitable. Who else was involved in this web of deceit and betrayal? Distrust spread like a virus, infecting every corner of the government and leaving Maduro more isolated than ever. The explosion of emotions at that critical moment was a brutal reminder that absolute power is nothing more than an illusion, and that even the most authoritarian leaders can fall victim to their own weaknesses. The fall of the mask of unity was a spectacle that left the world agape, and the repercussions of this collapse will reverberate in the halls of power for a long time to come. The era of uncertainty had begun, and with it, the countdown for a regime that seemed indestructible. The fury of the Venezuelan people has reached an unprecedented boiling point. Amid the chaos unleashed by the explosive confrontation between Maduro and Cabello, citizens, fed up with corruption and abuse of power, have taken to the streets demanding justice. The voices of thousands of Venezuelans resonate with an unwavering clamor. Enough is enough. Patience has run out, and fear has been replaced by a fierce determination to take back their country from the clutches of a regime that has betrayed its promises. The scenes are shocking. In every corner of Venezuela, from the biggest cities to the smallest towns, people have risen up in a wave of outrage that shows no signs of stopping. Banners wave with messages of defiance, and chants of freedom fill the air. The anger is palpable, and the message is clear. Impunity will not be tolerated any longer. The stories of abuse and corruption that have come to light have ignited a spark that threatens to become an uncontrollable fire. Stories of families torn apart by poverty, of young people with no future, and of elderly people left to fend for themselves have fueled a resentment that is now manifesting itself in a collective demand for change. People are demanding accountability for those responsible, justice for years of suffering, and the restoration of the dignity of a people who have been trampled upon. The situation is critical, and the regime is reeling under the pressure of a people who are no longer willing to remain silent. Images of the protests are being broadcast around the world, and the international community is watching attentively, as the clamor for justice resonates beyond Venezuela's borders. The people's fury is a reminder that when oppression becomes unbearable, resistance becomes an inescapable duty. The moment of truth has arrived, and the Venezuelan people are determined to write their own destiny. The entire world is watching in amazement as the international press rushes like a whirlwind over the scandalous confrontation between Maduro and Cabello. The headlines leave no room for indifference. The internal war of the Venezuelan regime is exposed. Journalists, like birds of prey, pounce on every detail, every whisper, every furtive glance that could fuel the fire of this dispute that threatens to consume what little stability remains in Venezuela. Cameras capture every gesture, every biting word exchanged between the two titans of power. The tension is palpable, and the media spare no resources to expose the inner workings of this battle that is being fought not only in the corridors of power, but also in the public arena. Reporters, with microphones in hand, become chroniclers of a political tragedy that unfolds in real time, without filters or censorship. Archival footage is mixed with live broadcasts, creating a mosaic of chaos and betrayal that keeps the audience on the edge of their seats. Political analysts are soon on screen, dissecting every move, every statement, as the world watches in a mix of horror and fascination. The narrative is clear. What is at stake is not just the future of a regime, but the fate of an entire nation. The international press stops at nothing, and each new discovery is another blow to the already shaky structure of Venezuelan power. Headlines scream betrayal, corruption and decadence, and the public, eager for answers, is plunged into a sea of speculation and conspiracy theories. Truth, in the midst of this media whirlwind, becomes a scarce commodity, and the struggle to control it is fierce. Meanwhile, the streets of Venezuela are seething with indignation. The people, fueled by constant media revelations, are demanding justice, demanding change. The pressure is unbearable, and the regime, cornered by public opinion and the scrutinizing gaze of the world, is teetering on the edge of the abyss. The question on everyone's lips is unavoidable. How much longer can Maduro resist before the truth, driven by the relentless media machine, brings him down once and for all? Maduro's regime is teetering on the edge of the abyss, and the entire world is watching in amazement as his power crumbles. The tension is palpable, and the question on everyone's lips is whether this is the beginning of the end for the Venezuelan leader. The implosion of his government seems inevitable after the series of events that have shaken the foundations of his authority. Cabello's betrayal has exposed deep cracks in the power structure, and the people's anger shows no signs of abating. Desperation is gripping the streets of Venezuela, where citizens, fed up with corruption and abuse, are demanding radical change. Demonstrations are multiplying, and the clamor for justice is resonating loudly. The image of an invincible Maduro is quickly fading, replaced by that of a cornered leader, struggling to maintain control amid the chaos. Meanwhile, the eyes of the world are fixed on Caracas, where uncertainty reigns. Political analysts speculate about the country's future, and bets are high on who will take the reins if Maduro falls. The possibility of a power vacuum is real, and factions within the regime are preparing for a bitter struggle for control. The situation is explosive, and every day that passes without a resolution increases the pressure on Maduro. The international community is watching closely, aware that the outcome of this crisis could have global repercussions. Maduro's downfall could mark the beginning of a new era for Venezuela, but it could also plunge the country into a period of even greater instability. In this climate of uncertainty, the question remains: will this be the end of Maduro's reign, or will he find a way to cling to power? The answer remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: the world will not look away until the outcome of this dramatic political saga is revealed. Amidst chaos and uncertainty, the power vacuum looms over Venezuela like an impending storm. With Maduro teetering on the edge of the political abyss, the question that resonates in every corner of the country is: who will dare to take the reins of this political hell? Factions within the regime move like shadows, each looking for their chance to rise amid the debacle. Rumors swirl like a gale, suggesting that once loyal figures are now plotting in the shadows, ready to rush onto the scene at just the right moment. Maduro's downfall has left a political battlefield where allies become enemies and alliances crumble like houses of cards. In this ruthless game, every move is crucial, and the slightest mistake could mean ruin. The eyes of the world are fixed on Venezuela, watching with a mix of horror and fascination as the country teeters on the brink of total collapse. Meanwhile, the tired and angry Venezuelan people are clamoring for real change, for a leader who can lift the country from the ashes and restore hope. But who will be bold enough to rise to the challenge? Who will have the strength and determination to rebuild a country devastated by years of corruption and tyranny? The answer to these questions could define Venezuela's future and change the course of its history forever. At this critical moment, the fate of the country hangs in the balance, and the world watches, awaiting the outcome of this unprecedented political drama. In an unexpected and devastating turn, Nicolás Maduro's regime is teetering on the edge of the abyss. Tension has reached a peak, and the world watches in awe as the Venezuelan leader faces what could be his last battle. Betrayal has eaten away at the very core of power, and now, in a desperate attempt to hold on to control, Maduro finds himself at a critical crossroads. Will this be his last act of resistance or the dawn of a new era for Venezuela? The scene is chaotic. Maduro, cornered by accusations and growing discontent, faces a dilemma that could define his legacy. The pressure is unbearable, and every decision he makes seems to bring him closer to the precipice. Amid the political storm, his allies are fading, and promises of loyalty are dissolving like smoke in the air. The shadow of Diosdado Cabello, his one-time ally, looms menacingly, as revelations of his secret machinations continue to shake the foundations of the regime. The Venezuelan people, tired of oppression and corruption, are rising up with implacable fury. The streets are filled with voices crying out for justice, and the echo of their discontent resonates in every corner of the country. The illusion of unity within the regime has been shattered, and the struggle for power has become a grotesque spectacle that the world watches with a mixture of horror and fascination. Meanwhile, international leaders cannot ignore the chaos unfolding in Venezuela. Condemnation is pouring in from every corner of the globe, and external pressure is adding to the internal storm that threatens to consume Maduro. The question on everyone's mind is clear. Who will take the reins when the dust settles? Will there be anyone capable of rebuilding what has been destroyed? At this critical moment, Venezuela's fate hangs in the balance. Maduro's downfall may be imminent, but it could also mark the beginning of a new era of hope and renewal. History is being written in real time, and the outcome is uncertain. The only thing certain is that the world is watching, and the future of a nation is at stake.